Let you in on a little secret. The women that you see who are in happy, healthy relationships did not find the right men for them on Amazon. And you will not either. Let's talk about where you actually need to go to find lasting love. My name is Keshia Rice. Welcome. I am a dating coach, I'm a hypnotherapist, and I help women learn how to heal from their unhealthy relationship patterns and learn how to attract loving, healthy, lasting relationships. And I have coached dozens of women, especially Christian women, who've gone from frustrated and single to engaged and thriving in loving, healthy relationships. And the men that they met did not all come from one single place. So whenever I see this question of where should I go to find the right man, um, there's plenty of places. And the thing that you want to look for are the patterns, right? So let's break down where you will find quality, faith-centered men, and then how you can position yourself to meet someone who is right for you. So there's this myth that I hear all the time that if things are meant to be, the right man is going to find you, right? And I hate to break it to you, you are not a Disney princess, right? Prince Charming is not going to break into your home and just sweep you off your feet. And honestly, if he did that, you probably would not trust him and you wouldn't want to be with him anyways. But, you know, a lot of times women hear that whole phrase, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. And they will take that to mean, okay, well, all I have to do is show up at church, sit here, look holy, and wait for him to show up. So that is not faith, right? I just want to make that clear. That is passivity disguised as spirituality. Even the Bible says that faith without works is dead, right? So there's a component of faith that is, yes, being optimistic and believing, but there's also a component of actually going out and putting in the work. For all of this talk about being Ruth and going out to find your Boaz, a lot of women are ignoring the fact that Ruth wasn't sitting at home waiting for Boaz to knock on her door, right? She was out working in the fields when she met him. So you don't have to chase men. And in fact, I don't want you to chase men because relationships thrive on polarity. And let me know if you want to hear more about that. I will be happy to do a full video on that. But for now, that's a topic for another time. So, yeah, relationships thrive on polarity. But if you are serious about going out there and finding the right person for you, finding that purpose partner, then yeah, you do have to put yourself out there. So when you look at what are the patterns that lead women in complete thriving relationships to find their partner, you can see a few different kind of patterns that we're looking at. So one is dating apps. And I know a lot of you are going to roll your eyes and be like, dating apps are trash. And like, there's no way I'd ever find someone there. That's just stupid. First of all, I want to address the whole idea of dating apps being trash, right? So I want you to just really think, right, about when you were a little kid, like elementary school. When you were in elementary school, there was probably like one kid that was a little bit off the rocker and crazy, right? And, everybody knew who that kid was. They did their best to kind of avoid the crazy and move on. You get to middle school and there are like two, three kids who are like that, right? You get to high school, there are four or five kids that are a little crazy. You go to college and there are a few more. The thing that has changed amongst each of those levels is that the schools are bigger, right? So, elementary schools only allow a certain number of students, and then it's two or three elementary schools in most towns that feed into one middle school, a couple of middle schools that feed into a high school. So, the high school is bigger than the middle school is bigger than the elementary school, and of course, college is bigger than any public school you went to in K through 12. And that's the commonality. As the pool gets bigger, you know, there are more good men in the pool because there's more men in general. There's also more trash in the pool. And like that's just a fact. That shouldn't deter you. It is just recognizing that when you have more options both ways, right? So we contend with that and we just deal with it. It just means that we have to do a better job of honing our discernment. But at the same time, on the whole, I do believe that dating apps give women great potential to meet the right partner because, again, your pool is bigger. And at the end of the day, a dating app is just a tool. It works if you work it. The key is how you use them. So, one, I don't really believe in online dating. I believe in online meeting. I believe on using the apps to expand your pool, to add to your options. But once you connect with someone, you need to get off the app as quickly as possible and focus on getting to know them through phone conversations, through dating, getting to know them in real life. And also, if you're going to be on these apps, you really need to know your boundaries, your values, your non-negotiables. You need to really filter differently. You can't just be indiscriminately swiping, right? You have to move with confidence and with clarity instead of moving out of desperation or even instead of moving out of doing it for the plot and just seeing how many people you can swipe on. You know, being a dating coach for 6 years now, um, I've had several clients meet godly, marriage-minded men on eHarmony, Hinge, Coffee Meets Bagel. Yes, even Tinder. I've had a couple of Tinder marriages, and it wasn't that it was a certain app or anything like that. It was just that they moved with intention. They were very intentional in their profiles about looking for marriage, about expecting a long-term committed relationship. And then once they were interacting on the apps, they were very intentional about how they moved from there. Okay, so we've covered dating apps. Let's cover church and whether or not you should be meeting the man for you in church. Um, because I see this all the time, right? Single women are constantly told if you just serve in ministry, God will send you your husband. Now, again, something else that I could do a whole separate video on is the fact that I believe that there are a lot of churches that are keeping women single. Actually, I did do a video on why I believe that some churches keep women single. It was done a few weeks, maybe a month before this video. So just, just scroll through, you'll find it. But um, to some extent, yes. Like, I believe that when you are living in your purpose, it becomes so much easier to find the right partner. And a lot of times that does include doing things that you're passionate about, engaging in hobbies and volunteering. So, for a lot of Christian women, of course, that involves, church ministry as well. And while the church can be a beautiful place to meet someone, there are a few caveats that I really think you need to understand. Many men in church, just like men outside of church, are still figuring themselves out, right? Some of them are still figuring out their faith, and some of them are not emotionally ready for a partnership. Just because they're in church doesn't mean they've done all the emotional work. In fact, that might be why they are in church right now, because they are trying to do the work. They just aren't there yet. And also, let's just be real, churches skew heavily female. So the ratio is not going to be in your favor. Not saying that you can't meet a great man in church, but you just have to keep that in mind that it is going to be more difficult. I don't want to say more competition, but yeah, more difficult. It doesn't mean that you should give up on churches. It means diversity. So, one, if you want to explore meeting men in church, remember that it doesn't have to be your church. You can visit other churches. You can volunteer at events at other churches, go to revivals, go to conferences. You can also volunteer for like Christian organizations. So it doesn't necessarily have to be church, where we're talking about meeting a man. And also, don't put limits on God by assuming that he's only going to be in that one space. Back to the whole idea of Ruth and Boaz. Again, Boaz was out in the field. He was not in Ruth's Bible study group. So keep that in mind when you're out here dating. Now, my favorite way for women to meet the right partner is through their social circles. So many Christian women underestimate this opportunity. And it even applies to church, right? Because back to what I said about it doesn't necessarily have to be your church. If you have Christian friends who go to churches other than the one that you go to, talk to them about who is single in their church. Talk to them about what events they have where you have that possibility to meet someone. But a lot of great, godly, grounded men are found through mutual friends, through professional events, through community activities. Again, back to the whole idea of being a Christian woman in church, you serve in church oftentimes and serve in your ministry. But if you truly believe that you were created to go out and witness and spread the gospel to other people, then what better way to do that than by volunteering in the community? Outside of the church, by volunteering with nonprofits and other organizations in your town, in your county, where you can do good, you can feel good about yourself. You also have this chance to show God's love and spread the word and all of that. And yes, you also have the opportunity to meet other quality people because these are people with heart as well, since they're also out here volunteering just like you are. So, by engaging with your social circles, by talking to mutual friends, asking if they know anyone, by being open to going to networking events, by being open to volunteering and going to community activities, you're giving a chance for your personality, your character, your presence, all of that to really shine and to really be attractive and magnetic to the right person. So if a coworker invites you to a networking event, say yes to it. If you see a charity event is coming up or a conference is going up, say yes to it. If you are into fitness, join a intramural sports team. Go join a hiking group, join a book club. Go to those meetup events. Go to a young professionals event, and yes, go to events at other churches, right? But the more you put yourself in environments that are aligned with the things that you enjoy and that you're passionate about anyways, the more you are going to expand your access to men who share your faith, yes, and who share all of your other values as well. So I think it's really important that you keep in mind that this is not about trying really hard. And I also don't want you to go out to anything in a spirit of desperation. Instead, I want you to hone in on discernment. So, a major part of discernment is moving with clarity and moving with purpose. So, when you show up confident, when you are grounded in your feminine energy, when you're clear on your boundaries, men are going to feel that energy. And when you are in places where you naturally shine, because this is aligned with your personality, you're going to attract men who respect you and who also see that shine and that light in you. So, women who find lasting and godly love, they didn't get lucky, right? They got clear. They did the inner work to really heal from toxic relationships. And then they got clear on what kind of partnership was going to align with their calling. And then they moved accordingly. So, that is exactly what I do in my coaching program, From Toxic to Thriving. is designed for ambitious women of faith who are ready to finally break free from unhealthy dating cycles, to really build confidence, and to attract a godly man who is ready for commitment. So, if you're tired of wondering where good men are and you're really ready to become the woman who naturally attracts that right partner, then you can head to the link in my description, book a call with me. We can talk about what working together looks like. And then you have to understand that once you are really ready to do that inner healing work and walk in confidence, then God can use any place to help you align with your right partner. It's not going to necessarily be a specific church or a specific event. It is trusting the process and again, understanding that it can happen anywhere at any time. So I just want to encourage you to keep the faith, to keep showing up, and remember that it's not about waiting on the right man. It is about partnering with God to, help you fulfill your purpose and to truly trust in the timing and understand that God never runs late. So I will talk to you soon. Let me know your insights in the comments. Let me know what you found most helpful about this. Love you so much. Bye.